A very, very good morning. Hi, Vipul. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me? Dr. Khosla, are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah, good morning. Vipul, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Vipul, I've made you presenter.
Okay, that's great. So just give me a second. Just
A very good morning to the participants. May I request you to kindly mute yourself other than the speaker.
are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Vipul.
Perfect.
Okay, let me. Participants, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Before we proceed, let me introduce the speaker for the session, Mr. Vipul Reddy, who is currently with Khan Academy, and he's helping Indian schools to introduce Khan Academy versatile pedagogy and online teaching tools in the classrooms. Vipul is an industrial engineer, and then he has done his BE in industrial engineering, production engineering, then MBA from Asian Institute of Management, then MBA General Management from Ivy Business School at Western University, and then MA in Education, Learning, Design and Technology from Stanford University. And he has a very versatile experience, starting from as an industrial engineer with Philips India. Then he has been a co-founder of an education startup, and then manager, learning, training and professional certification with Cisco. He has been chief product officer, pedagogy, technology and learning space design, Global Discovery Schools, director academics, Pearson Schools, and member of the board of advisor, Shiksha Niketan School. He has been a TED Edge Innovative Educator, and currently he is with Khan Academy. As I shared with you, he is helping Indian schools to introduce Khan Academy contents in the curriculum. I extend a warm welcome to Vipul, and I'm sure this session is going to be a very, very good session from the perspective that we all are facing the problems that how to improve the students' engagement in the classrooms. And Vipul, if you look at his profile, I mean, he's so close to this topic, and probably there's going to be great learning from him and from his experience. So I again extend a warm welcome to Vipul. Thank you, Vipul, for sparing your time.
Oh no, absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Okay, over to you now. Please take over.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for that introduction, sir. And a very good morning to all of you. I really appreciate all of your time. I know coming back from Diwali, and me being the first person that sort of puts you back in the workplace, is probably maybe a little bit of a jarring change. So thank you for putting up with me on this. As you've just heard, in terms of my background, there's a number of things that I've done. I've worked in technology. I've worked in schools, in education. So unlike you, I'm not in higher education, but I have had some experience basically managing chains of schools before coming to Khan Academy. The way that it worked actually was, I was managing Pearson Schools, which is a chain of about, at that point in time, it was about 20 schools, about 25,000 students nationally. And I was looking to do a pilot for Khan Academy. And as it so turned out, I ended up basically, I reached out to the CEO of Khan Academy, saying that, we'd like to give this a try in one of our schools. And it so happened that, he was basically looking to kick off an entire school's effort for India. And so one thing led to another, and I was trying to hire him, and he ended up hiring me. So we had like a little bit of a reverse acquisition happening there. And so I've been here at Khan Academy for the greater part of 3 years now. And my role here essentially is around helping schools to use Khan Academy in a classroom setting. What that usually means is that, it means basically having teachers that are trained, teachers that have the support that they need on day 0 and day 1 to start using online resources. Because in general, schools across India, especially the strata that we work in, which is government schools, you will find that there isn't really a lot of expertise around education, specifically education technology. So actually, if you can just give me a second, I'm going to just close my door because there's a lot of ambient noise here, if you don't mind. So just give me a second. Apologies for that. So as I was saying, so there's a lot of help that teachers in general would need in the strata that we work in, which is mainly around government schools. And so offering that help in the form of training, in the form of teacher support on day 0 and day 1 that they start using online resources, and last but not the least, giving visibility to management around, but in the form of data analytics around what was the usage level and how did it actually move the needle at all in terms of the students' learning, is essentially what my team does at Khan Academy. But before I go any further, and I will talk about all of these, in the course of our conversation today, I would like to leave some amount of time at the end. I'd love to actually turn this into a discussion more so than for lack of a better way of describing it, a Gyan Bartowing session. So I would love to actually, hear your points of view and your concerns and, your suggestions on how we could do anything better. We'd love to actually get that feedback from you too. So just by way of introduction, so, who are Khan Academy? The story begins around 2006. So there's a gentleman. I mean, many of you have probably heard this origin story for Khan Academy. For those that haven't, I'll just quickly go over it one more time. So there's a gentleman by the name of Salman Khan. Now, when you think Salman Khan, you think big muscles and bad driving skills. That is not the person that I'm talking about. I'm talking about a gentleman who's he's of Indian and Bangladeshi origin. So I believe his father is from Bangladesh, his mother is from India, but he grew up in the United States. Went to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, ended up getting 3 degrees in engineering, got basically a Harvard MBA, and was working. He was working in finance. And while doing that, it so happened that he had a cousin who failed an exam in mathematics. Now, as you're aware, with South Asian families in general, especially with South Asian families that live, outside of India or outside of South Asia, they're extremely competitive, and one of their own failing a math exam is absolutely not acceptable. And so everybody really piled on to Sal. That's what they call Salman. So everybody calls him Sal Khan. So everybody just in his family piled on to him and said, you had better basically correct this situation. You've got a niece or a cousin who's not passing math, and this with with someone with your caliber being around, that is absolutely not acceptable. So do what you need to do and fix the situation. So he decided that he's going to tutor his cousin over the phone, and so they started doing that. Except it was really hard to schedule calls. I mean, it would be like it was a headache, an ongoing headache between him and his cousin to find common times that would work for both of them. And so it was around this time that there was a new website that was coming up called YouTube. And so somebody suggested to Sal that why don't you actually start recording your videos on YouTube? And so, you can create them at your convenience and she can consume them at her convenience. And so that's essentially how things started out, with Sal starting to record his videos and his niece starting to, watch them on her own, at her own convenience. 3 things that happened at that point that he noticed. One was that his niece preferred the recorded version of him versus the live version of him, because she could watch it at her own convenience. She could watch it as many times as she wanted. She could pause when she wanted it and rewind and replay wherever she wanted to, rewind and replay it without really, irritating him by asking him the same question again and again and again. So that was a really good thing that she liked. And so she decided that she preferred the YouTube version of her cousin rather than the real life version of her cousin. The second thing that he saw was that in the beginning, it was just his niece that was coming and watching his videos. So it was just one viewer, one learner that was looking at his videos. Then over time, it became 10, then 100, then 1,000. At this point in time, when he actually records videos, he gets 1 million views fairly quickly. So there was that evolution that started to happen in terms of the number of people watching his videos. Last but not the least was the feedback that he started to get. So if you've ever watched, YouTube videos, and if you ever read the commentary at the bottom of YouTube videos, more often than not, that's just, like the gutter of human instincts that basically shows up in these videos, which wasn't the case over here with Sal. Like, what he actually saw was most of the comments were along the lines of thank you. And, the comments would be around how these videos haven't just helped the learners, I guess, math abilities, but more so their confidence and their sort of the way they viewed themselves as learners, which was incredibly heartening for him. And I think that was basically where he decided that, this is what he'd like to do for a living. And so he decided to quit his job and record videos. And then one thing led to another. Funding happened over time, and Khan Academy as a formal entity was formed with the mission, with the explicit mission of providing a free world-class education to anyone, anywhere. And we mean this when we say this. And there's a lot of stories that I can literally go on and on about the stories that we hear literally on a daily basis over here of someone somewhere that basically, really benefited from the Khan resources that are there, because all you need is basically a browser. And if you've got access to a device and a browser, you can get a decent education on Khan Academy. And so, we'll hear stories all the time, like the former Secretary of Education for the United States was visiting the border between Syria, where, as you're aware, there's a big war going on. So the border between Syria and Turkey, where there are really large refugee camps that have been set up. And so he was visiting these refugee camps, and what he noticed, and he came back immediately and he wrote a mail about this to Sal Khan, was there were no schools there, there were no teachers there, but there still was an education that was possible for the children that were in those refugee camps, because they did have devices, they did have internet access, and all the kids were using Khan Academy to keep their studies going. We'll hear about stories, across the length and breadth of our own country. So, I have trained teachers, for example, at the Doon School. And at the same time, I've also trained teachers that will teach in the government school in the Dharavi slums of Mumbai. And a whole lot of teachers in that social, in that social sort of, in the social strata between those two extremes, and that's sort of just the beauty of this, that it's there as a resource for anyone, anywhere that needs it. And it does get used a lot. So worldwide, you'll basically see almost anywhere from 6 to 9 crore learners any given month visiting Khan Academy and using it. In India, we have about anywhere from 15 to 25 lakh learners that will access either our website or our YouTube channel and learn over there. So that's sort of our mission. The most important part is the free, and I'll talk about why that is possible in just a second. We started off as a math resource, obviously, because Sal's cousin had issues with math. But then we've basically gone on to a number of other subjects too since then. In India specifically, our focus in the foreseeable future will be math and science. And we do hope to have a very, very comprehensive resource that's available for those subjects. I did talk through most of these, but just to let you know, so while we basically support almost, like I said, anywhere from 6 to 9 crore learners worldwide, as an organization, we are very, very small. So we barely have, I think at this point, we've grown to about a little more than 200 employees worldwide that staff Khan Academy. In India, we are about 25 people. India is the largest sort of hub of activity outside of the United States, outside of our headquarters in Mountain View, California in the United States. And we are predominantly serving government schools. So that was sort of the strata that we chose because that was where we felt we could really make a difference, just given the very unique characteristics of really high quality content, but no cost associated with it. That was a strata that we felt would be the most would be able to benefit the most from it. If you were to go to Khan Academy, essentially what you would find is three major areas of content. First is basically videos. When I say content, obviously there are the Khan Academy videos that Sal started creating. Then we basically have practice problems or practice questions that go hand in hand with that content. And last but not the least, there are some really good teacher tools that make it possible for a teacher to really find out very quickly. So, anytime you've got, I've taught a little bit too in my career. All of you are teachers, so you know what this is like. Every year you will basically inherit a new set of students. And it's probably going to be about 3 to 6 months before you really get to know them. You really get to know what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, who are the students you need to focus on, what are the areas that you need to spend more time on, than others. These are things that Khan Academy can really help you to expedite through those teacher tools. And I'm happy to talk through these if you would like me to. All of our content is developed in-house. And so, as I said, there's a lot of really good instructional videos and exercise sets that we will offer on Khan Academy. I think I've covered most of these points over here too, except for the fact that when we actually set up shop in India, we were chartered to do two things in terms of localization. One, localize for Indian boards, and two, to localize for Indian languages. So we have spent a lot of our time basically localizing specifically for NCERT content that aligns with CBSE. And secondly, to basically localize for a lot of Indian languages. We are aspiring to have Khan Academy available in almost 10 languages at this point is the plan, which would include both videos, these problems and question sets, as well as the teacher tools and teacher training, more importantly, in all of the languages that we have a presence in. At this point in time, content is available in Hindi, in English, which is actually a really interesting experiment that worked out really well for us, where the narration is in Hindi, but the technical terms will be in English. So this is specifically for quote unquote English medium schools that are very, very low cost and are not really providing a very good sort of language instruction, if you will. And so for those children, this ends up being a real lifesaver. And we've seen this in time and time again in a number of locations, in a number of geographies where this English content is something that is extensively utilized by students. We have also a lot of volunteers that will help to basically localize content. So there's work that's happening in Tamil, in Gujarati, in Bangla, which are like almost exclusively volunteer-run initiatives with almost very little sort of hands-on effort from Khan Academy, the organization itself. Lastly, Kannada. So we actually partnered with the Karnataka government to make Khan Academy available in Kannada. And the plan is to continue to basically do this. So in fact, there's no reason to charge anyone anything to use our resources. Worldwide, our funding comes from google.org and from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. In India, our funding comes from Mr. Ratan Tata and the Tata Trust. They take care of all of our expenses, including my salary, all of the costs of sort of all of the travel, all of the training, etc., that we provide, all of the tools that we create for teachers, etc. All of that is taken care of by them. So we really don't need to actually charge anybody anything for this. And the plan is in the foreseeable future to continue this model of philanthropy. We did talk through all of the content in the various languages. We did talk through the NCERT curriculum, which is what we're focusing on for India. So if you came to Khan Academy from a different geography, the screen you'd see obviously on Khan Academy would be very different. If we sense you're coming from India, we will basically navigate you to the NCERT content, which is essentially the most used content on our website at this point in time. Now, in terms of how does this change learning? Basically, what happens is that we've actually done some very large studies, and I will share these slides with you, so you're welcome to actually go and take a look at the studies that we have published online. In general, let's just assume that if you did not use Khan Academy and the growth that you saw over the span of that year was X, if you used about 40% of that grade level, so say if I'm a student in grade 6 and I didn't use Khan Academy, I would grow X. If I did use about 40% of grade 6 content, by the time I came to grade 7, I would grow by about 1.5x versus someone that didn't use Khan Academy. And if I used about 60% of grade level math on Khan Academy, I'd basically grow about 1.8x. So there's almost an 80% sort of growth over my peer in my class who did not use Khan Academy. So this was actually a fairly large study that we did. And this is sort of some of the things that we found. Going back to the point that I had earlier made about the social impact of using Khan Academy, there's a little video that I'd like to show you. And this is basically, I'll just serve this one up. So this is basically talking about an educator. He runs an organization called Aravali Scholars in Gurgaon, in Delhi. His name is Prabhat Agarwal. He is alumnus of IIT Madras. He did really well with his software business. He was able to basically sell it off, and he decided that then he wanted to be an educator. And as an educator, he wanted to basically work with the bottom of the pyramid. So there's a really large slum in Gurgaon where there's a school right next to it called Vidya School. He will basically have his students come in and learn at that school. He will be a hands-on tutor over there, and he extensively uses Khan Academy. Now, this is a story of one of his students. I have had the pleasure of actually meeting this young lady, and it was an honor to do that, because I have no doubt that this is a lady that's extremely gutsy and is going to go places over the span of her life. But I'll let her talk to her experience with you.
My name is Anjali Prajapati. My father is a car mechanic and my mother is a housewife. Vishal!
The background which these students come from is very challenging. So the need for center was to provide an environment which was conducive to academics.
Morning, sir. I used to fear from mathematics. I used to be like, this is the worst subject.
So the problem was that the children concepts in maths were not good. One of my friends pointed out this wonderful resource called Khan Academy, and the children found it really useful.
Welcome to the video on basic subtraction.
तो सर ने बोला तुम्हें शुरुआत से शुरू करना पड़ेगा ताकि कोई भी कॉन्सेप्ट छूटे ना और अच्छे से तुम ग्रास्प कर लो हर एक कॉन्सेप्ट पर।
तो खान अकेडमी इसीलिए बेस्ट लगा क्योंकि हम जितना करते जाएंगे रिवॉर्ड के तौर पे हमें बैजेस और एनर्जी पॉइंट्स मिलते जाएंगे। अर्ली मैथ, अरिथमेटिक ये हमने 1.5 आवर में पूरा 100% कंप्लीट कर दिया पॉइंट्स कमाने के चक्कर में।
जब क्वेश्चन सही हो जाती है तो चेक का बटन दबाने पे ट्रिंग आवाज आती है तो बड़ा मजा आता है, शाबाशी मिल रही है, अच्छा लगता है।
I never thought gamification could motivate children so much. They have become confident self-learners. Also, their English comprehension capabilities has improved tremendously.
Whenever I used to have one doubt, I used to feel very shy asking teachers. But Khan Academy's videos are best because I can play it how many times I wanted.
Parabola is going to be y is equal to x
So
squared.
Sal sir was an inspiration to me because he made this site and he made it free of cost. And now I'm able to teach my fellow students. I am in love with mathematics just because of Khan Academy.
These children are from low-income homes. They stay in one-room tenements where 4-5 people are staying together. A lot of parents have hardly studied or are illiterate. So that's the kind of background these children come from.
I always wanted to be independent, and education is the best way to do it. So it's all connected, Khan Academy, Prabhat sir, and what I am today is just because of both of these things. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Into that heaven of freedom, my lord, let my country away.
So there you have it. So that's essentially, one of the reasons why I get up every morning and come into work every day. Because there's a lot that Khan Academy does that really makes it feel like what we are doing is really having a very positive impact on learners, not just in India but everywhere. So I'll give you probably this again, like I said, there are stories that we hear every day of basically someone that we heard the other day about someone that just gave the IAS exam. He basically used math as his optional subject, and he extensively used Khan Academy to fix his fundamentals. And his comment to us was, "I wish I had this back in school or even in college when I was basically learning math, because it retaught me my fundamentals in a way that I hadn't been taught when I was in school." And that is something that really is a very heartening thought. I think probably my favorite story out of all the stories that we hear is about this girl who lives in the tribal areas between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Very similar story to Malala Yousafzai, in that her school was also burnt down by the Taliban, and she refused to give up on her education, and her family also refused to let her sort of, just stay at home and not study. So she basically was using her phone and using her father's phone to basically study online, and ended up, long story short, she basically studied, gave her exams, was smuggled out of a village, and is currently studying in the United States on a full ride scholarship. Except apparently nobody in her village knows that, because if they did, the Taliban her family's life would be in danger. So, the story, I guess, is that she was married off and sent to a neighboring village or something. But when we hear stories like that, especially for me, I'm a father of a 7-year-old daughter, who you probably heard in the background in the early part of this presentation. So, for someone like me, this is really a heartening thing that allows us to really work over here. In terms of, why Khan Academy works. So there's basically 3 major tenets of why Khan Academy works. And I'm getting into, I guess, the purpose of this presentation, which was, gamification is part of it, but also there is, a very deliberate design that we've kind of inculcated into the content and the website that makes it just come together well. One is a growth mindset, where we really believe that anyone can learn anything. And to that end, one of the things that you'll see across Khan Academy is there is never any kind of sort of denigrating message that comes to you in the event that you get anything wrong. The messages that you will get will always be around trying harder, don't give up, keep going. It's personalized, which is another thing that we think really works well. So, there are a lot of resources out there where, it's possible for, say, a group of students to sit in front of a single computer and learn. And while that may be great from a point of view of, you don't need as many computers or as many devices, fact of the matter is that every student learns at their own pace, is at a different place in their learning continuum, and needs to basically move from that point to where they need to go. And so everybody's got a very different learning path that they need to tread. And that is sort of what is made possible by the fact that on Khan Academy, every learner will have an individual login and password and an individual account where we can basically know where exactly the learner is, know where the learner needs to go, and help to navigate their way from point A to point B. Last but not the least, we have a mastery-based learning system over here, which basically means that it's sort of like gaming, right? Like until you've basically learned, until you've mastered level 1, you have no right to be on level 2. And unless you've mastered level 2, you shouldn't be moving to level 3. And that's essentially how we work over here too. That we'd like you to basically get the fundamentals right before you move to the next stage and to the next step in your learning journey. And so that's something that, again, is the way that we've fundamentally built up Khan Academy. In terms of what that means in a classroom setting, so there's 4 major ways that you could look at, or 4 major models of usage. Now, depending on whether you want to use Khan Academy in school or out of school, there are different models. Depending on whether you want to use this as a primary resource or as a supporting resource. So is this where initial learning happens, or is this just basically a resource that will be used for reinforcing something that you learned elsewhere, right, from a textbook or from a class lecture? There'll be a different model. In general, what we'll see is that this quadrant over here, the in-school as a support resource, is the one which gets used the most in general for most edtech resources, but specifically so for Khan Academy, where say if a teacher has, say, 5 lectures, 5 classes in a week for her students. 4 of those classes she would teach the way she would have taught anyways. And in the 5th class, she'd basically march them to a computer lab and use that session as a Khan Academy session where she would assign exercises that would reinforce what she's taught in the earlier 4 sessions that she had taken that week. And so that way, actually, Khan Academy ends up working sort of in tandem with the environment that it is being used in. Now, that essentially is sort of an introduction to who we are. I know that there was also some interest in learning about how Khan Academy actually gets used from a point of view of being a sort of a gamification platform. So I'll just show you sort of how gamification works over here. There's essentially 3 kinds of gamification mechanisms that we have in place. There are energy points. These are points that you get anytime you display any kind of behavior that we think is relevant to your learning or in the interest of your learning. So when you watch a video, you get energy points. When you finish exercises, you get energy points. When you complete specific tasks that were assigned to you by your teacher, you get energy points. In addition to that, there are also algorithms that we've that will basically. I'm sorry, actually, I think I'm getting an echo. Can you mute your okay, so essentially, anytime you've basically got any kind of behavior that is in the interest of your learning. So, for example, I do an exercise and I get 3 out of my 4 problems wrong. If I do that exercise again and I get 1 problem wrong, and I do that exercise again, and this time I get 100% right. For all of those, first of all, for not giving up, I get extra energy points. And secondly, for continuing to stick to it till I got it 100% right, I get more energy points. So there are these sort of little bonus gifts that you will get in energy points as you go along. Energy points, I shall tell you, is, I guess you're all in higher education, so most of the students you will deal with may find this a little bit flaky. But for school students, energy points are probably one of the most motivating sort of engines for activity really that they are ever going to see. So you're going to have students that will do whatever it takes to make sure that they have more energy points than the guy sitting next to them. We've had schools where they in fact have an energy point leaderboard at the back of the class, which gets updated every week for the student that had the greatest delta in energy points for that week. That's how they keep them motivated, keep them moving in the right direction. The other sort of gamification mechanism that we have is badges, which are awarded depending again on how many energy points you earn and sort of what are the behaviors that you achieve. Again, like there are badges for not giving up, for sticking to it, for coming in and practicing math every day, practicing math every day for an extended period of time. All of these are behaviors that work well in your learning journey, and therefore are things that we reward with badges too. There are some badges that are very easy to get and everybody has them. There are some badges that are insanely hard to get, and those are the ones that if you were to basically go on social media, you'll basically find that learners will sort of compare their collection of badges with each other. Finally, and again, this is something that again works well in the school K through 12 environment, specifically actually more in the K through 6 or maybe K through 8 environment, where based on how many energy points you have, you can earn or unlock avatars that represent you. And so that again is like a fairly powerful motivator for anyone that basically comes into Khan Academy and uses Khan Academy. I'll just show you quickly the website itself so you can see what it is that I'm talking about. Just give me a second, it's just loading. So here's sort of my own Khan Academy page. I'll go to my learner home. So as a learner, as you can see, this is the avatar that I'm talking about that I can basically upgrade depending on how many energy points I have. This requires 50,000 energy points. If I wanted this one, for example, it requires 100,000 energy points, which I don't yet have. So I can't get it. So I would basically work really hard to make sure that I can get to that 100,000 energy points. Over here in this blue box, you can see the number of energy points that I currently possess, which is 54,363. And so that's another point of contention between students. So they will basically look at each other's blue boxes as soon as they come into a computer lab and log into their computers to do for their Khan Academy session. When we've done classroom observations, we've seen that this again is something that everybody looks at each other's screen and is a tremendous point of, I guess, of peer respect. This is my badge. These are my badges that I've earned. So as I said, some badges are really easy to earn. There are others that get really hard to earn. Last but not the least, this is basically my streak. How many days in a row have I come in and solved problems on Khan Academy? Now I've been obviously a lousy student over here, and I've only come in over the last one day. But if I were to come in, over say like 3, 4, 5 days in a row, there would be basically energy points and badges that I could earn for that activity. So that's in a nutshell sort of what we do with the gamification on Khan Academy. There's a lot more that's possible, I realize, again, there's at this point in time, I mean, this is basically what we have to offer. I realize that I've basically used up about 40 minutes of my time, so I would like to open it up to any questions, any specific suggestions, any comments that you might have at this point around everything that you have seen and heard so far. So at this point, I'll sort of just open it up to you for any comments, any questions that I can answer.
Vipul, congratulations for your extreme efforts that you all are taking. We are really glad you could give us so much insight into Khan Academy. Actually, I would like to ask you a question like yesterday also we heard about gamification being used in schools and colleges. So I would like to do it, but there's a lot of sort of technical aspect in it, which I cannot do myself. So what could you tell me about that? Like, can I go into collaboration with with someone and try to create something.
Sure. So there's two things that are involved over here. One is basically designing the gamification so that you can sort of encourage the kind of behaviors that you want to see in your students. So that's one part of it. First is figuring out what are the things that you want your students to be doing. Secondly, what would that reward mechanism be? And lastly, I think is the part that you're touching upon, which is the mechanism for the operationalization of all of that. Now, very candidly, I'll give you a case in point of a school that I visited in Trichy, in Tamil Nadu. They've built a lot of gamification into their day-to-day existence, and there is zero technology that's involved over there. Essentially, what they have is a point system so everybody is basically given a point card, and anytime they basically demonstrate some sort of a behavior that is, and they've got an entire sort of algorithm of how a student can earn points. If you basically pick up trash, you earn points. You do social service, you earn points. You help your peers, you earn points. You attend class every day without any absenteeism for a given period of time, like 3 months or so, you earn points. You get a certain grade in your class, you earn points. If your grade is better than what it was in the last exam, you earn points. So for all of these behaviors, you earn points. And the way that those points are sort of disbursed is through a very low-tech card system. Every child has a card that they basically bring into the office. They show that that behavior that happened, or maybe there's a teacher's note that comes with them saying, did X should get Y points. And there's a person in the office who basically on that card will just write, okay, got X points. And at the end of the year, the points that each student has collected over the span of that year is celebrated. And there's prizes that go out, there's rewards and recognition, there's basically parents that are brought into the picture and also felicitated for the children that basically did the most over that year. So they've got zero technology in use over here. They've got nothing by way of a tech solution. It may be worth looking into actually if there are. I haven't looked into it very candidly myself because we've got our own gamification system, but I'm sure that there probably would be apps that can potentially help you do this, because it's not a horribly complicated problem to really solve.
It's Monday, na sir? Sorry, Tuesday ka?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Sir, I am Raghava from Hyderabad.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, fine, sir. Good morning, sir. Yeah. So I have a premonition, sir. There is a jargon, namely, winner takes the all, right?
Yeah.
So in the course of this gamification and this rating and all, giving scores, awards, this, that, what if a student with low moral and with poor skill set, okay, suffer from inferiority complex, and slowly if he becomes low, so how to address that?
Yeah, I mean,
instead of a game, if it becomes a race, okay, so how do you avoid that problem?
See, there's two things. I couldn't agree more with you that you're absolutely right that there is this, like anything else in life, right? Taken to an extreme, this can become very unhealthy. And so I actually have seen this in a school where it has actually become a little bit unhealthy. There are students that spend an ungodly amount of time on Khan Academy just so that they can get more points than the other guy, just so that they can basically get felicitated for having the most points. And inevitably, most of these are not students that had a motivation problem to start with. Most of them are like, they were always motivated to be on top of the class. If there had been no Khan Academy in this universe, they would have still been on top of their class. So really, as an entity that brought change, really, Khan Academy didn't do anything. They kept the people who were at the top stayed at the top, and the people that were not at the top, we probably may have made it even harder because there's even more extreme reactions from those at the top to stay at the top. So there is, you're absolutely right that like anything else in life, taken to an extreme, I forget the exact words, but there's like a Tamil saying that like even if taken in an extreme, even Amrit becomes Vish. And that's sort of the case over here too. Having said that, I think if you were to basically, if you were to sort of position this as a race between you and you, right, not between you and the rest of your class, I think there's a lot of value to be brought over here. So if you basically, so there's another school that basically says that the student that showed the most improvement versus his or her score last week, right, is the one that will basically be felicitated. So it's not like the one with the highest score, but the one that showed the highest delta versus his or her own score the previous week, is the one that will basically be the one that moves forward. Now that I think is something that actually is a form of gamification that would really make it a lot more wholesome, a lot more healthy, and would really actually bring in the kind of change that it should bring in. So I think that probably is a better way to do this, was having gamification where yes, you're right, where you've got sort of just very extreme sort of competition that this inculcates. So.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Morning. How are you?
Sir, I'm Dr. Purvi Naik. I'm from Gujarat, and I'm a faculty of mathematics in engineering college.
Okay.
So, sir, how this method or technique actually works with this age group of students, because these rewards and all kind of things will not probably work, which is working with the school level students. So this age group students are they are not much interested in this reward kind of thing. So how to get them more involved in mathematics classes, and how to make the class more interesting?
Absolutely. So I couldn't agree with you more that the way that we've done gamification on Khan Academy, see, our primary audience is kindergarten through grade 12. And so because of that, some of these mechanisms that we put in, like, whether it is the avatar or the badges, these are things that will motivate, say, someone who's in grade 7 or in fact, even within school, by the time they come to grade 8 or grade 9, this becomes a little bit flaky, and they're not really that interested in the avatars and in the badges that basically they're earning. Having said that, I think you should really look at the fact that, rewards and recognition, where someone basically is recognized as, for efforts that they did, is something that actually transcends age. In fact, forget school or college, it's something that for the rest of, I'm a pretty old guy, and I love it when someone actually recognizes me for something that I did. So while I think when we say gamification, it should not be basically something that you necessarily need to tie to, some sort of a flaky medal or badge or something that you're getting, but some sort of a real life recognition that I can actually demonstrate to maybe future employers, my peers, my students, my customers, that basically shows that I am someone that worked hard, achieved something, and I'm therefore that much more valuable to me, to my organization, to you. I used to work, before I started working in K through 12 education, I used to head the certifications program at Cisco. This is basically the IT training and professional certifications program, where you've got the Cisco Certified Networking Associated, the Cisco Certified Networking Professional, the Cisco Certified Internetworking Expert. These are certifications that are, I think, next to Microsoft, probably the most widely earned certificates in the world. So we had, I think, almost 1 million people that came through these certification programs. The bulk of them, once they enter, will start to move up that ladder from the basic level to the intermediate level to the advanced level. The reason that they would want to do that is because it allows them to get professional, it allows them professional advancement. It allows them, in case they're working in sales, to be able to get into sales situations that they would otherwise not have been able to get into because of the fact that they have the expertise to make that sale. It allowed basically people to get jobs that that for which there were certain criteria to get that job, and because they had this certificate, it was easy for them to prove that that was a job that they basically were qualified for. So I think the fact that gamification is something that works isn't something that is like really limited by age. It's something that actually transcends age. It's something that you will see basically working well wherever you go. When you for example have airlines, you have this thing around miles, where if you basically travel a certain level, you get certain certain frequent flyer miles, and then as you travel more, you get more frequent flyer miles, and every time you get more frequent flyer miles, you basically move from one tier to the next tier to the next tier, and each of these tiers offers you additional sort of benefits to being in that tier. So whether it is sort of you get to access their lounge, you get a free drink when you board a flight, you basically get to board the flight first before someone else. These are little things that really don't cost the airline that much, but because of that, people will basically do the additional amount of flying that they need to get those miles, or they will stick to one airline to earn those miles. This is also another form of gamification. It's completely for adults. This is not for children, and it works because every single airline out there has some sort of a frequent flyer program or the other that follows a similar structure. So in general, I think rewards and recognition is not something that is limited to a very young age or to a school age. The form of the reward or recognition may change.
We tried all these things and we gave them certificate of appreciation also, but they all because we are internally we are not authorized to give them something which is more important to them or which works with their credit system, because we are affiliated with some university. So it is a credit based system. So our system what we give internally is not really working with. So you gave an example of airline and all these things, but in all this system, customer or people are gaining something. Here students are only getting something like words of appreciation or some internal certificates, such type of things.
Do you find that those words of appreciation are not adequate? Because I'll tell you that, I've been a manager for some time, and appreciation is not something that I've ever heard anyone tell me doesn't really work, because I've seen it work like across the board, across situations, across age groups. Anyway, but I think you're right in that, I think actually designing a reward system that is meaningful and valuable to those students will be something that takes time. It's not a problem we are going to solve on this call, but actually really sitting down and thinking through what is really valuable to them. What can you give them that is meaningful to them, that basically helps them to really realize that, that this is something that they should basically include in their day-to-day life. I'll give you a case in point again. I've actually just finished reading a book. In fact, I have it probably right here. There's a couple of books actually. There's one that's called Atomic Habits, and I would recommend that. It's an excellent read. And essentially, what it is around how do you basically inculcate habits that are ones that you know that you need. There are certain habits that you just need, and how do you go about inculcating them? And the way that long story short, what he says is actually building a reward system. So every time you do the right thing, you reward yourself for that which you did. Now, what that reward system looks like depends on, again, it changes person to person. It may be it may depend on the situation that you're talking about, the kind of habit that you're trying to inculcate. But it's like a basic behavioral tenet that for humans across the board, that if you give the right kind of reward for the right kind of behavior, you will basically reinforce that behavior. And that behavior, that reinforced behavior, could very well turn into a habit. And so therefore, is something that you should really explore. I won't be having, a ready-made answer for you for your specific situation. I'm not sure why specific kinds of appreciations wouldn't work and others, but I'm sure that there would be other appreciations that would. And so I think that's something that really bears, I think, a deeper dive and I think a longer discussion.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, so there was a question from Ms. Marisha Jabin over here in chat. The lecture hope that the future is not bleak. Many use Khan Academy in my college also for self-study. But how can we learn better in collaboration? Is there online space to learn from each other on Khan Academy? So thank you for the question. This is, I think, probably one of the most frequently asked questions, which is, how do you make collaboration happen, especially in a place where, you focus on personalized learning? It's not an easy problem to solve immediately. We do feel that collaboration does work, but on the website itself, we really don't have much by way of collaboration. So it's not like there's a mechanism where we can sort of pair you up with somebody else to basically learn what you needed to learn. Either they learn from you, you learn from them. So that peer learning, those peer learning mechanics are not here on this website per se. This is very much a self-study website. Having said that, there are other mechanisms that we are looking at. So Sal Khan, who founded Khan Academy, is right now he's just launched a new initiative called schoolhouse.world. So if you were to go to, I think should be www.schoolhouse.world, which is a completely separate organization, not connected to Khan Academy, but with the same founder. Essentially, what we do over there is we make it possible for learners to connect. In this situation, we are talking about learners connecting with someone who can teach them, but it could just as easily be basically two learners that in the future we could probably have, connecting over here where they learn together, where there's like some sort of a group study that happens. There are several sort of mechanisms that are there in place. So, and a lot of these are sort of coming into play in this, especially in this COVID environment. If you were to talk to schools, you'll find that a lot of tools are sort of finding their way into classrooms to enable this kind of peer learning. So, case in point, like for example, there's a site called Jamboard, which is basically think of it as sort of a online whiteboard with a lot of really cool features added to it that you could use to have sort of a collaborative session. So, so if you and I are together online, we could be on the same Jamboard and we are sort of maybe doing some sort of a whiteboarding brainstorm session together, completely virtually, using that. Most of these these web conference apps that we use right now will also have similar tools that allow you to annotate. So suppose if I'm presenting slides in Zoom, for example, it's possible for you to come in and annotate my slides if you so see fit. So there's several features that are there already in these tools that allow you to actually do a lot of this sort of peer collaboration and peer learning. So.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Hello, yes. Sir. I'm Jayashree. Yeah, Dr. Jayashree Indran from Rajari College of Social Science, Cochin.
Very nice to meet you, ma'am.
Yeah, glad to meet you too, sir. Actually, I wanted to know whether you have some contents on your page or only you have gamification elements on your page. I'm sorry to ask this question. We should have at least gone through the page and come to the class. Yeah.
So it is a content website. So very candidly, it is a hardcore content website where there's video. There is for each of the topic areas that we have, it's very tightly tied to NCERT, the CBSE curriculum. And each sort of unit will have videos where you learn and exercises where you practice that which you've learned, going hand in hand.
Great, sir. So great. Sir, if you don't mind, can you give some examples of contents that you have so that we can match with whether our level students can use them? Some examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just show you this. So I mean, I'll just go into So you go into I go into my course menu. This is the entire universe of courses that Academy has to offer. So we've obviously got generic math that is used by any country anywhere, plus any board anywhere. You basically find this is sort of a superset of all of the math that we have. And then for India specifically, we've basically done, because it senses that I'm coming in from India, you'll basically see that there's grade specific content that is available over here. In your context, especially in higher education, where we've seen this being used is because most students coming to you will come with with holes in with gaps in their learning. There are gaps in understanding of math that basically will hamper them for the rest of their life, as long as they're basically trying to be in any quantitative discipline. So what we've seen is that a lot of them will actually come back to Khan Academy to clear their fundamentals. That is what Khan Academy does and does really well. So say, for example, you basically wanted to, there's like a topic that basically, say, polynomials is a topic that is, has created all kinds of gaps. Those gaps have sort of compounded over time and shown up in a lot of other sort of subject areas. Now over here, if you were to go into polynomials, by the way, you will see that for grade 9, you'll see all of the content that is in here is exactly in the same order that you would see it in your NCERT textbook. So the idea is to make it very, very easy for a teacher in a CBSE school anywhere in the country to be able to find this content. Over here, I would basically get two things. One, I would be able to learn using the video, and then I would be able to practice using these exercises. So, to learn, I'd go into the video itself, and there's a...
Let's explore the notion of a polynomial. So this seems like a very complicated word, but if you break it down, it'll start to make sense, especially when we start to see examples of polynomials. So the first part of this word, let me underline it. We have poly. This comes from Greek for many.
And finally, you'll have like an exercise that goes hand in hand with this. So the whole idea is that both of these work very tightly together. So, it'll basically ask you a question and it'll ask you, okay, what's the right answer? Now, if I don't know the answer, it'll also handhold you. So you can actually watch the video, or you can basically get a hint, And so it'll basically navigate you towards the answer. It'll scaffold you towards the answer without, really giving you the answer. And so the whole idea is that, it helps you with both your learning as well as your practice.
Yes, sir. Actually, in management studies, we have a mixture of people coming from different domains. And some people, those who are from art stream, may not be even feeling comfortable to sit in the class of quants. So in that case, your site will be highly helpful, because even in our college system, we are having some tutorial sessions wherein teachers teach before they get into the actual content of the syllabus. So in that tutorial sessions, I think Khan Academy is going to be of very great help for us. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. There was a question about, how can Khan Academy be useful from Vidyasagar Kumar, sir, where you've asked, how can Khan Academy be useful for the children who are from vulnerable sections? So, and will they have access to every type of material on Khan Academy? So yes, unlike a lot of online resources and edtech websites, we have no fences internally. Anyone who comes to Khan Academy gets access to everything that we have to offer, regardless of what grade you are or what you need, because again, it's free. So, it's not like if you pay for 6th standard, you will only get 6th standard, which is what a lot of websites do. Over here, you can come and you can use whatever you want. The only thing you need is a device, whether it is a smartphone, whether it is a tablet, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a PC, whatever device that you have, which has a browser in it, you're good to go. You can come to Khan Academy and you can use it to learn. Dr. Khosla, I know I'm out of time over here, so if there are any other further questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Maybe offline, or if you wanted to send me an email, I'll put my email in chat. I'll just put my email in chat over here. Feel free to drop me a message anytime. I'll also put in my phone number. You're welcome to actually drop me a WhatsApp message, which is usually the fastest way to get a hold of me. How can Khan Academy help in areas of research, from Marilyn De Cruz? Oh, that is a good question. So, I mean, again, we are in the business of fixing fundamentals in people's knowledge of math and sciences, and so that is sort of where we play. If that somehow actually helps with research, I would assume it would. Then that would probably be how it use it. But I want to hear more about how you think this could be used. I don't know if someone's asking a question because there's like some choppy audio that I'm hearing. Okay, unless there are any other questions, like I said, I mean, those are my contact details. Feel free to reach out at any time. More than happy to answer them. The best way to get a hold of me is on WhatsApp. And I have my number in chat right now, so feel free to drop me a message. And thank you for your time. I really do appreciate your doing this. And yes, any way that we can help from Khan Academy, do let us know.
So, any other question from the participants?
I think Purvi and Raghav have raised their hands, but they are not able to connect with us.
Yeah, maybe you can type your question in case there's some issue with the connectivity.
So I think there's a question about...
Ikshita here.
Yeah.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yeah. So in our university, we have many international students who have Arabic as their mother tongue, and they do struggle with communicating in English language. Is there any gamified exercise you offer for learning English grammar?
The problem with English, with language in general, is that it's really hard to teach online because, see, unlike math, where 1 + 1 will be 2 anywhere you go in the universe, unlike that in math, in languages, literally every 100 kilometers that you go, the structure, the diction, the vocabulary changes. And so, in general, language is like an insanely hard thing to teach online. And so, honestly, we do have, as far as an English resource, we do have a resource, a really good English resource that you can use to prepare for your SAT exams, which is what the exam that you take to basically go to study for your undergrad. But other than that, we really don't have any English resources really on Khan Academy.
Right.
Like you said, on math and sciences.
Right. Thank you, sir.
So there's a question about Hoshiarpur, Punjab, where very few students know about Khan Academy. Does Khan Academy collaborate with local schools? Yes, we are collaborating with the government of Punjab. The idea is to basically deploy Khan Academy in about 1,200 schools this year to be upgraded to up to, I think, almost 3,600 schools across the state of Punjab in the coming years. So we will be used by government schools across the country. We are used by the UT Chandigarh government schools already. So there's, I think, about 70,000 students across about 100 schools who are using Khan Academy right now as we speak. And yeah, and the plan is to really make sure that gets done and done well. Okay, unless there are any other questions, then I guess we could call it a day. I actually have to skip out to get to another meeting too. But if you have any questions, again, my number, I put it in chat, so feel free to drop me a line and we'll take it from there. And thank you, Dr. Costa, for doing this and for having me over here. I just wanted to say thanks.
Thank you, Vipul. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure there are a lot of takeaways from this session. Maybe we are into higher education, but there's a lot to learn from Khan Academy. And we can always follow the good practices which are being followed and take it to our classrooms for the benefit of our students. Thank you so much, Vipul.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye. So next session we are going to have at 12.
Can we leave?
Yeah, sure. Next session will be having at 12.
Yes, thank you so much.
And
What
kindly
wonderful
record your
session.
attendance. I've shared a link.
Okay, sir.
முட்டை வச்சதை தண்ணி பத்தி போச்சு பத்தியா லிங்க் ஷேர் பண்ணிருக்காங்க இப்ப இங்க புரியும்
Sir, please send the attendance link on WhatsApp also, sir, because those who are using mobile, we can't use chat option. Sir, please send it on WhatsApp also, sir.
अटेंडेंस टा केमती निया हबो है ना अटल रो काली रिचा मोर अटेंडेंस टा मो फोन रे नेला आउ से जो डमी रे अटेंडेंस में लैपटॉप रे नेला सेटा ऑन हे किसी तरह थिला बट माने आमे जो अटेंडेंस देबानी कि तांको केमती दबा देखिले रिचा काली गोटे कोठी कहला अटेंडेंस अछि हां से लिंक टा एक्चुअली आस्तीनी एबे जाय एबे तो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग एंड ये ऊपर देखो तुम एज यू विश प्रिपेयर आज मूवी हेनी इंस्टेंट जे आसीबा मूवी ने बी सेमती किछि नै जे नेले हबो कहबे जदी आलटे न कहबे जदी ठीक अछि आलटे डोंट वरी सर जानछन मोर चेस्ट पेन होछि मते पूरा स्ट्रेस लागुछि आज मॉर्निंग रे जंते लागिला खाई छी नॉट दैट टेंशन ही जाउछि यार माने आधा रात रे फोन करके काली आसन तो 50 टा काम कंप्लीट कर हां ओ क्लास नउतले अच्छा थर्ड सेम रो क्लास एबे मु एमानम कर नेबी आई जो कोन की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग करा से छुआ अच्छा अच्छा पाठ पढ़ी तो कोन कर सब बेले बढ़िया एसी कोची ताहले गोटे काम करली करिया को पड़िबा अपन खाली लैपटॉप रे से प्रीति रंजन रो व्यवस्था करि दियंतु काई कहले एठी सब खोला खोली अछि मोर अपन करि दियंतु मु सेठी जाउची क्लास नबा पई 11:15 रे अछि हे गलाणी ना लिंक तो शेयर अछि तांको संगरे ऑलरेडी हां तो कोन कहले जदी केते बेले से लिंक आसीबो देन आई विल शेयर ना ए कोन हैला चालुनी कोन पई
Yes, KBA, can you hear me? Bhushan, can you hear me?
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, Kulbhushan, can you hear me?
हाँ जी सर, आवाज आ रही है।
ठीक है, आपकी आ रही है आवाज, ठीक है।
मेरी आवाज ठीक है जी?
हाँ जी,
हाँ जी,
but
good. हाँ जी।
you are not listed here. Can you make a presentation?
Okay, I'll try. कैमरा विजिबल है सर?
जी कैमरा नहीं विजिबल, इवन आपका नाम भी विजिबल नहीं है।
I think मेरा गेस्ट अकाउंट
पहले मैंने I made you presenter, but that's not visible. Just a minute.
देखो ऑप्शन नहीं है सर प्रेजेंटर वाली।
I gave you the rights. Do one thing, log out and again join.
Okay, sir.
एक मिनट, just a minute. नहीं आ रहा आपका, इसमें लिस्ट ऑफ पार्टिसिपेंट्स में नहीं आ रहा। 10 days.
हेलो। हेलो सर।
Good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर, गुड मॉर्निंग।
ठीक है।
हाँ जी, अभी प्लीज चेक सर कि प्रेजेंटेशन विजिबल है।
Yeah, it's visible. जरा स्क्रॉल करो। फुल व्यू करना है इसका, स्लाइड शो में जाके स्लाइड शो करो।
ओके, और फुल व्यू है अभी सर?
या परफेक्ट विजिबल।
ओके, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड।
करो करो और आगे। यस, कीप मूविंग, कीप मूविंग, कीप मूविंग।
दिस इज कोड ड्राइव 1 2
ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है।
3 5 6 7
या ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है।
ठीक है सर। ओके, लाइव डेमो यहाँ आके होगा सर।
ठीक है। हाँ, वहाँ पे पावर है कि पावर आउटेज आज कट लगा
नहीं नहीं,
हुआ है?
अभी तो है, फॉर्चुनेटली अभी पावर है।
चलिए फिर।
होप फॉर द
अच्छा,
बेस्ट।
मैं थोड़ा सा लेट ज्वाइन करूंगा, तो
हाँ
आप
जी,
यू रिमेन लॉग इन। इशू होगा तो मेरे को लेट मी नो, ठीक है?
ओके। और सर जब ये प्रेजेंट करते हैं तो वी कैन ओनली सी द प्रेजेंटेशन, आई कैन ओनली सी द प्रेजेंटेशन, आई एम नॉट एबल टू सी द विंडो, द टीम व्यूअर विंडो।
नहीं नहीं, आप उसमें जाके जो ये टीम्स का इंटरफेस है, यू कैन हैव अ लुक एट द पार्टिसिपेंट, बिकॉज बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस लोग उसमें टाइप करेंगे चैट बॉक्स में।
तो उसके लिए मुझे उससे बाहर आना पड़ेगा, जो प्रेजेंटेशन ने मेरी फुल स्क्रीन कवर कर ली होगी,
हम्म।
फिर उससे बाहर आना पड़ेगा।
यस,
स्विच।
ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है।
So that means I'm not able to see कि कोई किसी ने हैंड रेज किया है या कोई क्वेश्चन टाइप कर रहा है।
Maybe in between, maybe you can set the agenda. What you can do is, आप पहले प्रेजेंटेशन प्लान कर लीजिए, ठीक? In between you can stop and raise questions. See कुछ लोगों ने क्वेश्चन पूछे हैं कि नहीं।
ओके, ठीक है सर। तो
We are going to get 1.5.
हाँ जी,
क्या कह रहे हो?
मैं सर पूछ रहा था आपने कितनी देर में ज्वाइन करना है?
नहीं, आप यू रिमेन लॉग इन। मैं भी यहाँ पे लॉग इन कनेक्टेड हूँ, ठीक है? कोई प्रॉब्लम आएगी बिकॉज देयर इज सम अर्जेंट मीटिंग, आई जॉइन। यू स्टार्ट विद द प्रेजेंटेशन, ठीक है?
ओके,
तो आप उस पे देखो, डू यू हैव द राइट फॉर, आप उसको रिकॉर्ड कर सकते हो? देयर इज अ प्रोविजन फॉर रिकॉर्डिंग, देखना जरा है यहाँ पे। जो जहाँ से आपने प्रेजेंटेशन शेयर की है, उसी मेन्यू में देयर आर 3 डॉट्स, मोर एक्शंस।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
दिखाई दे रहा है?
स्टार्ट रिकॉर्डिंग वाली ऑप्शन ग्रेड आउट है, तो मैं सिलेक्ट नहीं कर सकता।
Okay, right. You are into browser और अपने ऐप डाउनलोड किए?
ऐप से
चलिए कोई बात नहीं, I'll be there 12 बजे आके मैं स्टार्ट कर दूंगा इन केस, ठीक है?
या फिर आप रिकॉर्डिंग पहले से स्टार्ट, हाँ जी, कर दीजिए, तभी तो बैकग्राउंड में होती रहेगी।
चलिए ठीक है, आप अपनी टाइटल स्लाइड कर दीजिए।
टाइटल स्लाइड आ गई है सर, और मेरा फेस विजिबल है?
यस यस, आई कैन सी यू।
हाँ, मैं कोशिश करता हूँ इसे बंद कर देता हूँ ताकि बैंडविड्थ का इशू ना हो।
नहीं, व्हाट यू वांट मी टू डू नाउ, क्या करूँ मैं?
प्लीज गिव मी फीडबैक कि अभी मैं कैमरा चल रहा है, मेरा फेस विजिबल है। मैं एक बार बंद करूंगा, दोबारा ऑन करता हूँ। ओके ओके, मैं अभी बंद करने लगा हूँ।
अपना ये बंद कर दीजिए, वीडियो अपना कैमरा बंद कर दो, आप स्लाइड शो लेट इट बी देयर।
हाँ जी,
टाइटल स्लाइड आ रही है, दोबारा लोड करो, आई कांट सी।
1 सेकंड सर।
यस,
प्रेजेंट प्रेजेंट व्यू।
ठीक है, मैं रिकॉर्डिंग स्टार्ट कर रहा हूँ, बस आप पहली स्लाइड रहने दीजिए, ठीक है।
ओके सर, 1 सेकंड।
यस केपी,
हाँ जी,
शुड आई स्टार्ट विद रिकॉर्डिंग?
नहीं, जस्ट गिव मी अ मिनट सर। ओके सर। हेलो।
यस,
हाँ जी सर, रेडी सर।
हाँ जी, यस जी, आ रहे हैं जी, बस जुड़िए, पहुंच नहीं पहुंचा। अच्छा,
बस होने वाला। सुन टेस्ट। टेस्टिंग 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 1 2 3। Hello. Very good morning to all. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, it's audible.
Thank you. Thanks for the confirmation.
Yes, sir.
A very warm good afternoon, actually, to all, everyone. Let us start the session for the octalysis analysis. I can see the people, they are still joining us. So let us wait for 5-4 minutes.
Okay, sir.
ল্যাপটপ দিয়েছি একটু কাজ করার জন্য নেব হবে না
আমাকে ওই যেতে ছিল দেখবো আমি
May I request the participants to kindly mute the microphone when they are not using it? Thank you. Okay, we have 61 attendees now. I think we can start. Shall we start now?
Yes, sir. I think slowly they will join if some participants are there.
Okay, thanks for the confirmation. I hope you all can see the very first slide.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, very good afternoon to everyone who is currently attending this live session, and also who is on YouTube watching the stream. Myself, Kulbhushan. I'm a PhD student working under Dr. Arun Khosla. I'm in my 5th year PhD. In my PhD, I have used gamification, especially the octalysis framework, for the analysis of the different games that we develop for my PhD work. Here, first of all, I would like to thank my research guide, Professor Arun Khosla, for giving me this opportunity to interact with various experts, teachers, students from the various domains who are currently interested in gamification. I started learning about gamification in my PhD first year. We were exploring about the gamification at that time, and we had an idea to introduce the gamification as a subject for final year students in our institute, NIT Jalandhar. Then, starting with the gamification, I enrolled in a course on the Coursera about the gamification. And the very next thing that comes is the octalysis framework. Out of the various frameworks that can be used to analyze the computer games or the gamified applications, octalysis framework is one which is currently very widely used. So I learned about the octalysis from the UKAI website, from the internet sources, and then I applied for level 1 octalysis certificate and cleared it. So currently there are 5 levels for the octalysis. I have cleared the level 1 octalysis. So this presentation mainly focused on the level 1 octalysis and its use. How we can use the level 1 octalysis to analyze our gamified application. So I'll do in such a way, periodically during the presentation, after 15 minutes or so, we can take a little break and I can take your questions. And then we can move forward. I hope that would be okay. At the same time, you can write some questions in the chat and I can try to answer whenever we are transitioning between the slides. Okay. The contents of this presentation, we will cover the octalysis, the 8 core drives of the octalysis. Then moving on forward, we will take up some case studies where the octalysis is actually applied. And finally, in the end, there is a live demonstration where we try to analyze an application and try to plot the octalysis graph for it. Starting with the octalysis, octalysis is a gamification framework given by the AICTE. It helps us to analyze, critically analyze any application from the gamification point of view. In the end, we come to know that how much of the application is gamified, what are the lacking parameters, and what are the different addition we can do to the application to increase the gamified experience. AICTE also published a book called as Actionable Gamification, which covers mostly about the level 1 of the octalysis. Most of the tutorials about the octalysis is available on AICTE website, and there are also many forums or the blog posts that talks in depth about the octalysis. So that can be your first point of contact when you are learning about the octalysis from the AICTE website. Second is you can moving on to the book published by the AICTE, and then you can move on to some blog posts and the forums. Okay, before we start talking about the octalysis, first of all, we need to understand a basic methodology behind the system design. Any system is a part where people are interacting or collaboratively working. A system can be designed in 2 ways. The first way is a function-focused design. The overall design of the system, in this case, is increasing the productivity or the overall output and the efficiency. The people who are actually taking part in the system, they are not given too much consideration or too much importance. So, for example, during the Industrial Revolution, you can see in the screenshot, actually it's taken from a comedy video, but actually it tried to represent the people at that time. The industries, they are mainly focused about taking out maximum productivity out of the people. So they do not care about the emotions or the underlying needs of the humans at that time. There are many inherent drawbacks with the function focused design. People are not given importance. This is the first drawback. Another one is the people cannot optimally perform at the same level for an extended period of time. So we need breaks, we need mental relaxation, and there are many other things. We need to socially collaborate with others. So that is why the function focused design is failing nowadays. So moving on to the another design, which is called as the human focused design. In this design, the primary elements are the humans which are actually taking part in the system. The needs, the psychological, physical and mental needs of the people are of the prime importance. Of course, at the same time, we need to maximally increase the productivity, but the design is in such a way that people are actually enjoying the activity. So the high contrast you can see between the two thumbnails is, on one side people are enjoying it, or another side people are not actually enjoying it. Of course, on the right hand side people are actually playing the video games, but nowadays uh, the businesses, they are designing their their overall way of interacting with the employees in such a way that their employees actually enjoy taking part in their everyday activities. So gaming industry is the very first industry who had mastered the human focused design. You can see that people like to play the games ultimately for the fun, and it is the gaming industry who has actually mastered what are the actual needs of the people and how we can engage toward an activity. So this is the Octalysis framework that we are talking about. Uh, just a brief feedback, if you can tell me if I'm audible or everything is visible.
Yes, sir, you are
Yes, yes.
audible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
Visible
for the
and
feedback.
audible.
Thank you for the feedback. Actually, I'm on a full screen, so it is no way possible for me to see if there is any other question. So I can periodically ask you some question or for the feedback. So this is the Octalysis framework. You can see there are 8 core drives. These are called as the core drive. Core means the core principles, something underlying, hidden, and who is actually at the base. And the core drives is they drive the people toward an activity. So Yukai Chow formulates that why people engage in some activity, we can divide the actual reason into 8 different core drives or 8 different principles. Each core drive represents a particular section why people get psychologically attached with that process or an activity. So I'll just quickly run through all the core drives, then we can go them slide by slide. You can see on the top there is the core drive called as the meaning and epic meaning. Then we have accomplishment, empowerment, then ownership, social influence, scarcity, unpredictability, and avoidance. So these are the 8 fundamental core drives. Along with each core drive, you can, if it is visible, you can see this. There are few game mechanics are written over there, like narrative, elitism, beginner's lunch. These are the 8 core mechanics, game mechanics associated with the very first core drive, the epic meaning. And similarly, each core drive has some of the game mechanics listed along with them. These game mechanics are actually the things that have been derived from the computer games. Later on, later on we will try to see how many of these we actually require in our application and how we can create further more game mechanics. Okay. Before going into the Octalysis, just one slide for a brief concepts for a review of a gamification. We talked about mechanics, dynamics, what are the rules of the games. What actually these are? Mechanics, the game mechanics actually refers to the rule of a game or of an activity. The rules can be anything, but you can conceptualize it as like something which is hard coded, quantifiable measures, or something, some algorithm. So those all are the rules in a gamified activity. You can see mechanics describe the particular components of the game at the level of data representation and algorithm. Since gamification is derived from the computer games, I'll talk about the computer games and the gamified application side by side. In the computer games, the score, points, badges, leaderboards, and the algorithms, all the hard-coded values, those all fall under the game mechanics. Any game designer can play with the game mechanics uh, while designing the different game levels. In any gamified application or activity, if we want to increase the engagement, we try to introduce some game mechanics into that activity. For example, attaching a points or the scores which user can earn, that is a game mechanic. Moving on to game dynamics describes the runtime behavior of the mechanics acting on the player input and each output others outputs over time. So in an easy words, whenever the player interacts with the rules, the the way the player interacts with the rule is called as the game dynamics. So player can interact with the rules. Rules means the game mechanics, and player can interact with each other. So the way they interact, their behavior, runtime behavior, is called as the game dynamics. And finally, we have a term called as aesthetics. Aesthetics describes the desirable emotional response invoked in the player when he or she interacts with the game system. So aesthetics is not the visual aesthetics, it actually how the player finally what is the overall emotional response that is that occurs in a player when they deal with the gamified activity, when they take part in a gamified activity. Are the player happy, or are they sad, or they get frustrated? So these all things, the behavioral response of the player, that falls under the aesthetics. So this is called as the MDA framework. So out of all the frameworks that we can use to analyze the computer games, one of the framework is the MDA framework. It is widely used particularly for the computer games. So MDA stands for mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics. You can break down any activity, gamified activity, or any computer games into these three parts. Further on, if you study, you can see they further are divided into many different categories. For example, the aesthetics. There are a different categories of aesthetics which describes that how the player feels after interacting with the gamified application. If there is any question, I can, since I'm not able to see your responses in a full screen, you can ask question if it, or while I'm transitioning to the another slide, I can ask you if there is any question. So that is a good time to ask the question. Okay.
So what kind of technology is more useful to realize this MDA framework, especially with regard to dynamics? On the fly, we got to capture a lot of parameters, right?
Yes, sir.
So is there any technology support to realize that?
Okay. While talking about the technology, see, the framework, first of all, you need to create the mechanics, the rules of the system. Since we have specifically asked for the dynamics, the technology, right now, whenever the rules are defined, the mechanics are there, that means the system is ready. We go for the play testing. We recruit some of the players, we recruit some of the volunteers or the players. They can take part in our activity, and then we have to see their response. We can see their live response, and we can see, we ask them for some questionnaire, and then we have to critically analyze.
Offline training.
In gamification, in video game industry, it is called as the play testing. When they create a video game, then they recruit some players, they give them some compensation also, and then they see that how the player are interacting with the system. So the interaction of the player with the system give rise to the player dynamics. I'll try to explain this concept using a very simple application. I hope most of you know about the bank gaming points, like the SBI has their reward system, the SBI rewards, where bank give such kind of rewards or the loyalty points to the people, the more the people use the debit card of the bank, the more the loyalty points they can earn. So I'm aware of the State Bank of India. They have a loyalty points uh, where people can earn some virtual points, and later on they can redeem those points uh, cash recharge and some online shopping. Uh, in that application, though the rules are very simple. One of the rule is if you spend 100 rupees, you will get 1 point. And the next rule is you can in cash 4 points equivalent to 1 rupee. So that means 400 rupees spent on a debit card is equivalent to 1 rupee cash back, which you can use for some online shopping or recharge. So that is called as the game mechanic or the game rule. Now this rule is fundamentally uh, uh, fundamentally hard coded. You cannot change it. Hello. There's some technical issue. If I'm audible, just please let me know.
Yeah, yes, it is audible.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. So the game rule in that application is how many points are equivalent to how many cashback. Now the dynamic is how player is interacting with that SBI application. Some players can wait for 1 year or 2 years so that they will have a large accumulation of point, and later on they can redeem it for a large reward. Maybe they can purchase a very costly item. On the other hand, there are some players who just accumulate enough point to do a 50 rupees recharge or a 100 rupee recharge. So you can see there are two different type of dynamics. The rules are same, but the player can interact with the same rule in two different ways: accumulate a point or just quickly use the points. So those are called as the dynamics. So no two players can interact in a same way. So there can be a difference. So dynamics always arise from the mechanics. And then finally comes the aesthetics. Overall, how is the player experience? So the one who is actually using the SBI rewards continuously, and after few months, that person has a recharge, free recharge because of those available loyalty points. That person will feel a bit happy because he's getting the recharge out of free. Just he has to use the debit card. So that is the overall aesthetics. So from this brief concepts, we are moving on to the octalysis code drives. The code drive one is epic meaning and calling. When the user believes that he is doing something greater than himself, or he was chosen to do something. In this code drive, the player are associated with an activity because the player thinks he or she is actually doing some big work, the big social cause, some intrinsic motivation. The motivation is coming from inside of the player. So you can see some of the game mechanics. I will not explain all of them, just one or two, like the elitism. It is the feeling of doing some big work, some higher purpose work, like voluntary help, like free help to others, sharing of the knowledge. There's some terms called as a beginner luck. So all these game mechanics that you can see written over there, actually this graph is created by Yukai Chao. So he derives some of the rules or the game mechanics from actual video games. So in video games, there is a concept called as the beginner luck. In a video game, if the player initially, when a player starts playing a game for the very first time, if somehow because of some random rule written in the game, the player got some huge reward, then the player will think that he or she is a very lucky person. He starts playing the game and suddenly he got a reward. He is meant to play this game, or he will get attached with the game. So that is called as the beginner luck strategy. Many computer games employ such kind of game mechanic to increase the user engagement. So anything that is a sense of higher purpose comes under this epic code drive. For example, everyone knows about Wikipedia. Wikipedia is non-profit organization. Anyone can edit the Wikipedia article, put the correct references over there, but in return, that person is not getting anything. So why still people are writing articles for the Wikipedia without any compensation or monetary rewards? The reason is simple one. The code drive within those people, the first code drive that is called as epic meaning and calling, that appeals the people to do some voluntary free work, a sharing of the knowledge. So that is why the people are still helping the Wikipedia to stay alive, because many years ago when Wikipedia was started, it was first told that it is not possible for such a model to exist in the coming years. People will not help or are not free enough to contribute to the Wikipedia articles, but ultimately Wikipedia is still surviving, defying all the odds. Similarly, you must have heard about the GitHub. GitHub is a online platform where people can share their, mostly it is used for sharing computer codes, computer programs, softwares, and you can share any other free articles also. So people are contributing their free softwares created by them on a GitHub, and other people can download their programs and add to their programs in their way. So ultimately the main goal is a sharing of the knowledge. So these kind of platforms still exist because people are fundamentally driven by their first code drive. That means doing some higher work. Sometimes the first code drives can go in another way. For example, there is a large section of people who are buying iPhones just for the sake of brand name. They just want to see themselves among their peer groups as the one who is the owner of the iPhone. For those people, it is such a big thing. They have attached a very higher sense of meaning with owning an iPhone. And there are people who stand in the very long queues at the release of a new iPhone model. For 1 or 2 days, they just stand in front of the stores just to get this iPhone. So for those people, they get attached to the branding. And even there are a lot of examples where the different businesses, they try to attract the people by calling to their first code drive. For example, Royal Enfield. In Punjab side, many youngsters, they like to buy the Royal Enfield because it gives them a sense of separate from others. They feel like they are owning something which actually make them a great or something, a big person. So you can see the first code drive can be in a positive way, can be in a neutral way like this. Ultimately, it drives the people to take more part in the activity. So if you are gamifying your activity, you want the people that they should spend more time on your gamified activity. You can introduce such kind of rules or the game mechanics which appeals to this first code drive. That means people are doing some good work or something. There are many applications available nowadays for the mobile phones where you can turn off your mobile phone or the screen for extension, and you will earn a virtual rewards, and later on the company will convert those virtual rewards to actually planting one seed or to helping some needy or something like this. So you are engaging in an activity just for the sake of helping a third person, because the company is helping the third person because you are engaging in those companies activity for this period of time. So this is kind of an example of uh, calling the first code drive of the people. Okay, any question, or we can move further? Okay, we'll move on to the next core drive. It is called as the development and accomplishment. The internal drives of making progress, developing skills, and eventually overcoming meaningful challenges. This core drive deals with the quantifiable measures. Like you can see, there are different game mechanics like status points, badges, progress bar, leaderboard, boss fights. All those are taken from the video games. The things, quantifiable things which user can measure or record of their progress are all fall under the development and accomplishment. People want to see their accomplishment. They want to see that how much they have actually developed or how much they have amassed these the different points. So all those all those game mechanics, they fall under this core drive too. For example, in Facebook, you can see that how many friends requests you have or how many friends you have now, how many unread messages are there, or how many posts you have posted, how many likes you got on your post. All those are the quantifiable measures which the user or a player can see at any time and can match that with his level of progress. Similarly, you can see in Twitter, you have number of followers, the number of tweets you have written, and the likes or the shares on your tweets. Those are all comes under this core drive too. And then comes the badges and the position in the leaderboards. So all those quantifiable measures that helps the user to see their progress and their development, they fall under core drive too. Nowadays, most of the gamified applications, they try to exploit this core drive too up to the maximum extent. You may or may not use it in your gamified application. It is a very strong motivator for the people to take part in an activity. At the same time, it can be a demotivator also. For example, if in some activity there are only score points, you take part in this activity and you can get this much of the score. There are no other rules, no other side quest or no other dynamics in the game. Only take part in the activity, get this much of score. Over a period of time, the player or the user will get boredom out of it. They will get bored because only they can see is their position in the leaderboard or the different points they have. So there are different kind of players. The players who got motivated by just increasing their ranking or the increasing their score, only those section of the player will get motivated, but still only for those period, only for an extended period of time. After that, eventually they will get bored. And you can see in the aesthetics, they will not actually take part in the activity for the long run. So accomplishment should be there, but at the same time there should be a balanced core drive so that the other core drive can also push forward the user to take part in the activity. Moving on to core drive 3, the creativity and feedback. It consists of those game mechanics which appeals to the creative side of the users. When a user is engaged in a creative process where he has to repeatedly figure things out or try different combination or action to progress. For example, I'll explain. There is plant pickers. You can see one of the game mechanics listed is plant picker. In game called as the plant versus zombies. In that game, the player can choose a different kind of plants to stop a herd of zombies. The plant will shoot a different kind of projectiles. There are different kind of plants. So there is no rule. The player can choose any kind of plant. So over here, the player has the power to take part in an activity and do something according to his or her. So that appeals to the creative part of the player. So in your activity, if there is something which player can change or creatively add to the activity in his or her own way, then that can appeal to the core drive 3, the creativity and feedback core drive. For example, a simple game of chess. chess. The roles are very simple and rules are very small in number, but still people are playing chess because it is a very creative problem. The people can start the chess opening sequence in the chess in their own way. They can move any piece of the chess. There is no rule that you have to play only this or after this or something like this. The player can end the chess game in a different way. So there are different opening games, end games. So ultimately it appeals to the creative part of the players. Similarly with the Legos, Lego is a company which produces these small plastic pieces which players, mostly the children, will use this. They can join them together to create big things. Now the rules are very simple, which pieces goes with which piece. Uh, Ultimately what the player make out of it depends upon the creative side of the player. So in your gamified application, if you give to the player such kind of game mechanics where player can interact with in their own way, then we are actually calling the third core drive of the people. For example, uh, in some apps out there, player can rearrange the layout, or they in some games they can rearrange the layout of their play field according to his or her own desire. Uh, there's a very good example. In Strava app, Strava is an application where user can actually check that what is their GPS route. So user can turn on the application and go started for running, and after a period of time they can stop it and they can see that what actually the GPS route they have taken. So there is one person in San Francisco. He used the Strava application to create a GPS route in such a way that it looks like a smiley face of a human being. Kind of, their eyes are there, the lips are there, and the overall face. So in San Francisco city, it's a very laid out city in a proper manner. There are many blocks are there. So he started running from one block, turn on the Strava application, started running. He ran in such a way that his overall GPS layout comes out in the form of a smiley. So that is the creative part. The user actually adds the creative elements to the application itself. So many users, they start doing the same kind of activity to draw such kind of different shapes out of their GPS route. Any question, or we can move further? Just a feedback. Am I audible?
Yes, very much.
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you. You can ask question in between the transition of the slides. So we are moving on to the code drive for the ownership and possession. Anything the user or the player own in the system. The user are motivated because they feel like they are owning something. It can be their virtual avatar. You can see the virtual goods also, exchangeable points, their avatar. All those things are unique to a user, and the user owns that thing. For example, in Google, many people, they are not moving from Google to the other search engine because over a period of time, Google collects your activity, and Google knows that when you are searching something, which is the most relevant results that should be shown to you. So if I search something on a Google, now Google knows that instead of instead of showing me the ads, advertisement, or the online links, Google always give me the links to the forum blog posts or some relevant where I am more likely to click. On the other hand, if I use some other search engine, now that another search engine does not have my prior data. So the another search engine will give me very neutral results. So this is one of the reason many people, they are still using Google products, because the Google products, they are ultimately linked with each other, and people are kind of virtually owning a part of the Google system in their database. So Google will always give them a unique results that are specific to that person. In psychology, this is called as the endowment effect. If a person owns something and the same thing is available in the market, we are more likely to give more value to something which is already in our hand and we are owning it, instead of giving the same kind of importance to the same thing available in the market. So in your application, if you can put some kind of game mechanics, for example, like avatar, the user can create their avatar, fill their basic details, fill their profile. Ultimately, they are more likely to engage in your activity because now users like they are owning a part in your activity. Similarly, the virtual goods are also there. There are computer games where people have virtual rewards, virtual points, which they can exchange, may or may not exchange, but they feel that they are actually owning those things. A sense of ownership is there. That is why they are more likely to use that application which they are already using instead of switching over to some similar application. Fifth core drive is the social pressure and relatedness. We all are social animals. We love the companionship of other peer beings. We love to live in a social group, help others. So such kind of game mechanics which appeals to this core drive, the social elements in our hearts, that is called as the social, those falls under the social pressure and relatedness. For example, uh, the the social elements in the computer games where people can see how much their friends have earned, how many of the scores, what is the level of their friends. They can compare their level with their social peer group. They can connect to their Facebook friend from within the application. Those all fall under the fifth core drive. For example, I'll explain one, the brag button. In some of the computer games, there is a brag button when someone cleared some serious level. They can click on this brag button, and all of their friends will get notified that this person has cleared this level. So, obviously, we like to brag. We like to share our achievements. So this appeals to the fifth core drive of the people. For example, in Candy Crush, uh, you can whenever you are stuck in a level, you can take the help of your Facebook friends. You can ask them for the help and they can share some virtual points to use so that you can clear some level. Facebook also is one of the very big example, so of the social pressure, where you are, if someone who is not on the Facebook and all of his friends are on the Facebook, that person will get peer pressure to create an account and ultimately interact with the Facebook application and finally connect with his friends. So this is kind of a peer pressure and the social pressure. It can be taken in a good way or in a not so good way, but ultimately it appeals to our fifth core drive, our motivation to connect with others. Sixth core drive is scarcity and impatience. Something less in quantity, we tend to give it higher value. This is the drive of wanting something because you can't have it, because the resource is scarce, or because you are prevented from accessing it. If you can't have it, you always try to think about that thing, that why I cannot have it, I just want it. And ultimately, it increases your engagement in that activity. For example, in most of the computer games, the screenshot is for Super Mario Bros. Computer game. Uh, Initially, only few number of lives are given to the players instead of infinite lives. Because the lives are less scarce in number, the player will give more value to the gameplay and will get attached to the system and will play more and more. On the other hand, if the lives are infinite, people will get ultimately bored out of it. So less in number, they will try to give it more value. Such kind of strategy was used by Facebook when Facebook was first developed. They only allow the people from some specific universities to create account on the Facebook. Not all of the world is open to the Facebook. No other can create the account on the Facebook. So what happens that the outsiders, the other people who are not from the university, selected universities, they are not able to create the account on the Facebook. This created a sense of urgency because only Facebook is limited to only few people. So this gave a sense of urgency to the other people that something is important. The Facebook must be something important. So after a few years, when Facebook went public, that anyone can create the account, then a large number of the people who have given such importance to the Facebook, they started creating account on the Facebook. So similarly, in your application, if you add some game elements in such a way that player is restricted to do some activity. For example, in computer games, especially in the mobile phone games, when the player life is lost, all the lives lost, then the application block the player to play for another 6 hours. So in that way, because the player is restricted, he cannot play the game. In his background, in the subconscious mind, he kept on thinking that, okay, when the 6 hour will over, when I can play again. So whenever the period is over, he will more likely to engage in the game as compared to the another way around. So this is how we can exploit the Core Drive 6 to increase the engagement of the players. Core Drive 7 is unpredictability and curiosity. Something which is unpredictable, people are more likely to hook to the system. For example, in gamified activity, if there are some random rewards, some kind of random things, random points are there, some mini quests are there, then people are more likely to engage in the activity. For example, there are some computer games like GTA, which has some side quest in the game. There is a main storyline and there are side quests. People are also more likely to do the side quest as they want to take part in the main storyline. Casinos, why people are hooked to the casinos? Just because of the 7th core drive. In psychology, it has been shown that by classical and operant conditioning, that we can condition the people to take part in an activity again and again and hook to the system. The rewards in a casino are totally unpredictable. You can see the thumbnail of the slot machine, where people enter some money and then pull the lever, and some numbers flashes in front of him. And depending upon that, the person can hit a jackpot or had some reward. The output is totally random. The people, they think that they can earn the money maybe in the next try, and somehow they are taking part in this lottery system. They are losing a lot of money, but still the reason they are hooked to the system because the output is unpredictable. They feel like they can win at any time. So similarly, such kind of game elements in your application, they can increase the engagement of the people with that gamified activity. The last core drive is loss and avoidance. This is very simple. If the people avoid taking part in the activity, they will have some punishment of the rewards or punishment in some other way. For example, with the Facebook, if people are not actively taking part in the Facebook every day, the punishment is that they are less likely to get the upvotes or the thumbs ups or the emojis on their post. Their images are less likely to shown in the feed of the other people. They are more likely to lose their online friends because they are not actively taking part in the Facebook activity. So this is how, by avoiding something, they are at a loss. In computer games, or especially in the mobile phone games, if you are not playing the mobile phone game every day, then there is a punishment of this much of the score points, or you will lose your position in the leaderboards. Just because of this, the fear of missing out, the people are playing the game every day, every hours. just to maintain their position or just to avoid any punishment associated. So those are the 8 core drives. Any question at this point? Okay, we'll move on to the next part, the left and right brain. Just like in our left brain is more likely associated with the logical abilities, verbal abilities. On our right side, it's more of a creative process. So similarly, the octalysis is also divided into left and right side. The left core drives accomplishment, ownership, and scarcity. Those are the ones which have quantifiable measures. So these are on the left side. On the right side, you can see empowerment, social pressure, and unpredictability. It is very difficult to quantify them. So they are arranged on a right side, just kind of our actual left and right brain. The epic meaning and avoidance core drive, which are at the center, those are the neutral core drives. So they can be quantifiable, measured, or they may not be, depending upon the circumstance. We can also divide it into white hat and a black hat gamification. The upper core drives are kind of positive core drives, which positively engage the user into an activity. While the lower core drive, the scarcity, unpredictability, and avoidance, which is the punishment also, those are called as the black hat gamification techniques because they increase the engagement, but kindly in a negative way. The people are we are giving punishment to the people. Unpredictability is there, anything can happen. So this is kind of a negative techniques. The middle one, the ownership and the social pressure, they can fall into any category depending upon the circumstance. How to calculate the octalysis score? Each core drive is given a number from 0 to 10. So 0 means that in that application, there is no game element which is appealing to that core drive. 10 means that that core drive has a maximum influence on the people, and that is why the people are taking part in those activities. So you give a score to each and every core drive, and then you have to scale the number and then add them all together. Because there are 8 core drives, the maximum value can be 800. And for example, this is a dummy application where you can see that 9 value is given to the core drive 1 because we feel that in that particular application, the core drive 1 has the maximum influence. Similarly, you can see the 0 is given to the 7. We feel that the 7th core drive, the unpredictability core drive, has a very no influence. So we squared them together and the sum is 156. So for that particular application, any hypothetical application, we get 156 out of 800. So that's a pretty low score, which may or may not explain that a gamification is using to a full extent. Sometimes only one core drive can drive the people effectively towards an activity.
Sir, in that case, there should not be symmetry in the shape of the diagram, sir.
This is just a dummy. I just copy pasted the initial diagram. Otherwise, okay, you are right. It should not be symmetrical.
Yes.
So we are now moving on to the case study. I just need a confirmation from some of you. Can we move further, or is there any question?
Yes, sir, sure.
Okay, thank you.
So just a minute. I just wanted to understand. So are we aiming for something in which all the core drives are targeted and we get a high score, or do we look at it only from the point of view of do we want white hat core drives more, and or are we looking at a balance?
Okay, very good question. Actually, we try to balance it, but our aim should not be to get a maximum score. Our aim should be to see that what core drives are lacking, and can we actually add to that core drive? Is it really important to add to that core drive, or is it our current core drive are enough to drive the people toward an activity? So getting a maximum score should not be the primary objective.
So do we evaluate it as white hat and black hat, or do we evaluate individual core drives?
No, no, we evaluate all the code drives at the same time. We will see this in the live demonstration at the end. After evaluation, we can see that is our gamified application comes out to be white hat or the black hat. If it is black hat, can we convert it into the white hat? Do we really need to convert it into the white hat? So those are the part of the analysis. First thing is just to apply the octalysis.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you. We'll move on to the case studies. I hope all of you are aware of the series called as the Game of Thrones. There is a huge fan following. People are just investing a lot of their time to watch the series, especially the students in engineering colleges. They are very hooked to the series. So Yukai Chao has created a octalysis analysis which looks like this. It's also available on his website. You can Google it at any time. He said that this is how the octalysis of the Game of Thrones looks like. There is a epic meaning. The epic meaning is the some of the game elements I will read out as epic and mysterious word, demonstration of love and duty, ties into real world issues. Those are the game mechanics which actually driving the people to take part to watch the series. So that is why a huge number is given to the epic meaning. Empowerment is there. Empowerment is like guessing on plot head. You can see this empowerment code drive is the creativity part, the creativity and empowerment. That means people can creatively predict that who will die next. This is the main theme of the series, that many prominent person are dying in any episode. So people, they will guess on the plot line and they will compare their guessed plot line with their friends, that who will die or who will not. So that is why they are actually somehow creatively taking part in analyzing or guessing the plot hole of the coming seasons. On the other hand, nothing is in the accomplishment. People are not gaining any points or leaderboards or virtual positions by watching the series. Similarly, ownership is not there. People are not actually owning part into this series. Social pressure is there. All of your friends are watching Game of Thrones. They are always talking about the Game of Thrones, and you are feeling left out. So you are more likely to start watching Game of Thrones. So this is kind of a social pressure. Cultural infiltrations are also there. People, they started wearing clothes with Game of Thrones written on the t-shirts or something like this. So this is how it is related to the social pressure code drive. And similarly, the others are there. You can see unpredictability code drive has a very large value. Who will die next? What will happen? Some of the characters, they have very unpredictable characters. So everything compels the people to watch the series or take part in this activity. Next case study is the WhatsApp. Why people are hooked to the WhatsApp? Why they are using the WhatsApp? There can be the many reasons, but on an average person is using the WhatsApp because of, you can see the reasons in the octalysis diagram. Epic meaning is staying in touch with the friends and relatives. Accomplishment is there, how many messages are there, how many messages you have posted. Avoidance is there. You are not using WhatsApp, you will avoid or losing contact with your friends and the families or like this. So WhatsApp is a very fairly balanced octalysis graph. All of the code drives have some of its contribution. On the other hand, the Game of Thrones is a totally right side and black hat. You can see more of the areas is on the lower part, so it is employing more of the black hat techniques as compared to the white hat techniques, and most of the areas is on the right side. So that means it is more of a right brain. Right brain means creative part or something which we cannot actually measure by numbers. Twitter, you can see Twitter has a very balanced graph, but more of a right brain. Candy Crush game, it was very famous at one point. I do not know how many people play Candy Crush now. So they have kind of balanced one, but more towards the black hat techniques. You can see there is no epic meaning. Why people they are actually playing a Candy Crush game, except from they are just exercising their thumbs on the mobile phones, but there is no epic meaning or higher sense of purpose attached to it. But unpredictability, scarcity, and avoidance, that is there. So it is kind of a equal on the left brain and the right brain, but more of a black hat techniques. Farmville is a game where you can grow virtual crops on a virtual farms, and you can sell them in a virtual market. So that has a very unbalanced uh, octalysis graph, more on the side of the left side, where we can measure the number of farms, we can measure the number of crops, everything, and less on the right hand side. Except from the social pressure, you can see Farmville is a collaborative game. So other peoples are playing it, you have to be collaboratively play with them. So this is a tool, online tool, where you can give a different values to each and every code drive, and automatically it will create the octalysis graph for you. It's available on the UKaiChao website. You can just Google octalysis tool UKaiChao, and you will. Otherwise, you can go for this link shown on the bottom. So we tell our students to use this tool for their presentations. They can set the value of each and every code drive, and then they can click on particular section to add the text for including the game mechanics for each and every code drive, and then they can take the screenshot for it. Okay, so this is all about the octalysis. Before we move on further for the live demonstration, I would like to ask if anyone has any question, because in the live demonstration you have to rate some of the code drives for a particular activity. Any question up to this point?
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Jayashree from Rajgiri College of Social Science, Cochin.
Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Yeah, glad to meet you, sir. Sir, actually, this kind of achievements and whatever we are discussing as outcomes of these 8 stages or 8 aspects of gamification are all focusing on impression management somewhat.
By impression management, what do you mean?
In front of others, I am the leader. I am the one who always is ahead. Kind of attitude that people show, and in order to show the attitude, what all they do are all the strategies of impression management.
Okay. Actually, the tool is more geared toward understanding that why some application is more engaging.
Okay.
I will just give a very simple example. Why WhatsApp is more engaging? People are using more WhatsApp as compared to the other platforms.
Yeah.
One of the reason you can see the total overall reason for a common person why they are using WhatsApp, it can be divided into 8 code drives, the 8 psychological code drives by which they get driven toward using WhatsApp. One of the psychological code drive is a sense of ownership. Is there something we own in the WhatsApp? So in my WhatsApp, what can be the game mechanic or the rule by which I feel that I'm owning something? So one of the game mechanic can be, or the rule can be, the status update. I can update the status on the WhatsApp and everyone can see it. Now by updating the status, I can see that I actually own my status in the WhatsApp. In the WhatsApp software running on my mobile phone, I put the status by myself. So actually I'm owning it. I can put my display photo. I can every day change my display photo also. So by adding my display photo on the WhatsApp, I feel like I'm actually owning something in it because I can see my face every day. Other people can see my face on the WhatsApp photo. On the other hand, there is the counterparts of the WhatsApp. Like there's a software called as Signal. I am not using Signal because I haven't uploaded my photo on the Signal, and other friends are also not on the Signal. So I am more likely to use the WhatsApp because I have a sense of ownership. I have already created my profile in the WhatsApp. I have already put the status, already put the profile photo. Also, there is some tagline we can put on the WhatsApp also, which other can see. So I have already invested so much time setting the WhatsApp according to my need, according to my own way. So I'm more likely to attach ownership with the WhatsApp as compared to the other platform. So the updating status is a game mechanic. How I'm using the updating status is called as the game dynamic, and this updating status game mechanic is appealing to the ownership code drive. So in my mind, in my heart, my the core drive that is I want to own something is actually driving me toward using WhatsApp. So not all the people are same. There can be the other people who are not displaying their photo on the WhatsApp. So from that person perspective, that ownership code drive, they are more likely to give less value to the ownership code drive, but they are using WhatsApp because they are driven by, let us say, social influence code drive. Their friends are on the WhatsApp. They want to maintain their regular contact with the friends. So that is why they are using WhatsApp. So they are more likely to use the WhatsApp because of the social influence rather than the ownership code drive. So it depends upon person to person. So whenever the Octalysis code drive is made, we survey a number of person, then we find the median or the average, and then we can statistically analyze what value should be given to a particular code drive. I hope I am clear.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Shall we move on to the live demonstration session?
Yeah. Is there anything the participants have to do?
Yes, I will share a link on the chat window where participants they can fill a Google form. In the Google form, you have to rate the 8 different code drives. In the 8 different code drives for a particular application. In this case, we are going to analyze the Facebook. Everyone knows about the Facebook. Now we will see why Facebook is more addicted. Why people are hooked to the Facebook. Okay. For this, you have to rate each and every code drive from 0 to 10. So it's a very simple Google form. 8 questions are there, and you have to fill the questions and submit it. And I will show you the live results.
Sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Kaushal sir, is it possible to get it on WhatsApp also? Because in some mobiles, chatting is not an option. There is no option for chatting.
I have no access to the WhatsApp group that is created. I
no,
hope
I am asking the coordinator.
Maybe sir.
I'll share it. Yes, Kulbhushan.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Khosla sir is there. Sir will share it.
Yeah, please, sir.
Okay. So this is the link. I'm typing into the chat window.
Yes, Kulbhushan.
Sir.
There's a problem with the connectivity here. So what I can do is I can add you to the WhatsApp group, and then you can share the link in that group, in this course group.
Me, sir. I have already shared it in the group. Participants can just take and fill it, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, dear. So much.
Yes, ma'am, it's available. Thank you.
Okay, I'm getting the responses. Let's see if we'll get enough response, and then I will do the brief analysis for it. Sir, is my window is visible?
Yes, this Google form is visible. Google form
Oh,
is visible.
okay, thank you, sir.
So where is this form posted, sir?
It's there on the WhatsApp group, sir.
Yeah, I am there on the WhatsApp group, but is it there? No.
Yeah, it has come from one madam.
Just check, sir. It is posted as Octalysis analysis of Facebook. The last message. You can just refresh the message.
So we have 45 responses so far. Let us see if we can go beyond 50, then we'll start the analysis. Okay, we have 50 responses. So shall we move on to the analysis, or is there anyone who's still adding the response, or we can wait for the person?
Yes, sir. I'm doing it right now. So wait for 1 or 2 minutes.
Sure.
Yes, sir. I'm done with the.
Okay, thank you for confirmation. So we have 51 responses so far. Let us try to analyze what is the final result. But before that, I will add my response also. Uh, Whenever we are conducting an octalysis analysis, first of all, we need to have an application for which we are conducting it. In this case, it is Facebook. We have choose this application because everyone among the participants is familiar with the Facebook. So this is very important that the one who is actually surveying it, the one who is giving the responses, is, or giving the values to the code drive should know thoroughly about the application. Second thing is, actually, I haven't written the game mechanics, but actually, we have to give the game mechanics also to the participants, since it is just a demonstration for you. When you are actually doing this for your application, you have to list out game mechanics with each and every code drive. So I'll try to rate the code drive 1. The first code drive, epic meaning and calling. I see the Facebook as more of a time waster activity. Of course, it helped me to connect with the old friends or with my peer group, but mostly it is more geared towards sharing personal information or sharing your fun activity and entertainment rather than a professional environment. So I'm more likely to give it a low influence because nothing in my heart is calling have a higher sense of purpose of using the Facebook. I'm not saving the world by using Facebook. I'm not helping others. Maybe I can create a group on the Facebook where I can help the other students or the needy student and can coach them, but I'm not doing it. For from my personal perspective, I can give maybe value of 2 to the first code drive. And you can see there are people who have given a value of 10 also, and some people have given a 0 also. So ultimately we have to take the average out of it, so that why Facebook is addictive for a average person. So outliers will be there. So for the code drive 2 development and accomplishment, I can see there are game mechanics or the rules in the Facebook which help me to assess my accomplishment or the development status. Like how many posts I have posted on the Facebook, how many likes I have, the number of friends I have, the number of messages. So all those quantifiable measures. I like to have whenever I put something on the Facebook or posted something on the Facebook, I really like that it will get viral or people will just like it or give so many number of comments. So this is what I want to see. Uh, uh, or reality, I'm not getting it. So I'm more likely to give it, let us say, the 6. From my personal perspective, it is important because I can see the number of posts I have, but it does not have high influence. I'm not regularly posting it. I do not want to increase my post count on the Facebook or the like count or number of friends on the Facebook. I have a limited friends. So that does not have high influence for me, but also at the same time not a low influence. It is kind of at a center. Anything creativity and a feedback, I will give it more value because let us say I can creatively post something which have a high impact on the others, and that post comes out of a creative part inside me. For example, something recently happens in within my friend group. So I can quickly create a meme out of it or a joke about it and then post it on online among my friend group. So this is how I can express my creative part in the Facebook activity when I'm dealing with the Facebook. So I'll give a value of 9. So again, this is my personal opinion. It can differ. Ownership and possession. In the Facebook, I am owning a lot of things. My profile that I have owned that is unique to me. Uh, my photos, my albums, my interest, which is shown in the Facebook front page, that what are my music interests, movies interests, everything is unique to me. I have invested a substantial amount of time in creating my profile. So I will give it a high value of 8. Social influence and relatedness. Uh, Many friends, most of my friends are on the Facebook, but I'm more interacting with them on WhatsApp and on other social media platform. Also, I am more engaged in my professional life, so I am using more of the other social media platform as compared to the Facebook. So I'm less active on the personal uh, life interactivity. That is what Facebook is more geared toward. So I am more likely to give about a neutral rating, because friends are there. I am interacting with them on the Facebook, but not that much. Scarcity and impatience. Something which is scarce, something in less in value. So such kind of game mechanics. So there's nothing like this in the Facebook for me that has a value of scarcity. For example, uh, some of my friends, uh, most of my friends are on the Facebook only. It's not available on the other platform. So obviously, I'm more likely to give Facebook as a preference as compared to asking my friends to leave the Facebook and go to the other platform. So there is a sense of scarcity, but I'm not geared toward using Facebook because of it. Unpredictability and curiosity, that means unpredictable outcomes, anything can happen, something which I cannot foretold about. So that means any post, unpredictable post, unpredictable polls or the results of using Facebook. So I personally less likely. Again, I'm an outlier over here. I'm not engaged into the Facebook up to that extent. But for a normal person, it can be high, because he more likely to use the Facebook, because anything can happen. Any friend can post anything at any time. He want to see the post. He want to interact with them. So this can be high influence for that person. For me, it is at the 4. Loss and avoidance. What will happen if we do not use the Facebook? I personally use very less of the Facebook. So for me, the values go to up to very low value. But for a general person, I know that they are using the Facebook because they do not want, at the loss of losing the contact with the friends, losing everyday information, what's happening in their friend's life or in their social circle, like this. So for them, it has a higher value. Just for their sake, I'll give it a value of 8. So let us submit it. We have 61 responses. You can see the histogram of the responses within the Google Drive itself, Google form itself. But I have created a separate sheet with the analysis. You can see the epic meaning code drive. This is how the histogram looks like. Most of the people, they have given a higher value to the first code drive. That means they are intrinsically motivated. Now these are the people who are actually taking part in this survey right now, and most of you have heard about, I feel like you have heard about the octalysis for the very first time. So maybe you will, over a period of time, when you have enough experience with the octalysis, maybe you will see there are game mechanics, other game mechanics in there. So you are more likely to give it other value what you have given right now. But epic meaning and calling, actually it should be at a very low value, because there is no higher sense of purpose. But probably there are many teachers right now who are attending this live session. Maybe you are using the Facebook to interact with the students, or there you have made some groups to interact with the students. So that is why you are more likely to give it a higher value. Development and accomplishment, you can see again, it's a skewed distribution. So whenever the distribution is skewed, we have to use the median instead of the average, because median is the most appropriate representation of the average than the simple mathematical average. So the median comes out to be at around within 7 and 8. For the creativity and feedback, you can see again, it's a skewed distribution. We are feeling, most of the people are feeling that it's a creative process engaging in the Facebook. You are right. With the ownership and possession, again, you feel like that we are owning some part in the Facebook. Then social influence, again, you can see it's a highly skewed distribution. Most of the people have given the value of 10. So it has a higher impact. Scarcity, again, you can see the variance is a large. That means there are many people who feel like less influence, and there are people with higher influence. Unpredictability, kind of a bimodal graph. You can see the people are divided by the 7.5 division over here. Again, skewed distribution, and then loss and avoidance. So these are the statistical parameters. You can see the minimum, maximum value, and the average and the median. You can see the average is different from the median because of the skewed distribution. So I have used the roundup value with the median, just rounding it up. And finally, you can see how the octalysis graph looks like. According to our analysis, this is how the octalysis looks like. Epic meaning has a value of 7. We predicted it should be less. I personally predicted it should be less, but it's a value of 7. And then it's a fairly balanced graph. You can see the more area toward the right hand side. So it's more of a right brain side as compared to the left. And it's balanced on the top and white hat and the black hat gamification. So this is our prediction. Let us see how the Yukai Chow has predicted about the graph. This is the Yukai Chow's prediction. Is this visible to all? You can see Yukai Chow predicted that obviously it is a left and the right, and it is more geared toward the right hand side brain of the octalysis. Obviously, it is fairly balanced, but when we are comparing the left and right, but more area on the right hand side. When talking about the white hat and the black hat, it is more of a black hat gamification techniques employed by the Facebook to increase their engagement as compared to the white hat gamification technique. So somehow we are right when we are talking about the left and right, but when we are talking about the white hat and black hat, our analysis comes out to be balanced, while Yukai Chow analysis comes out to be unbalanced. Maybe right now our survey participants, they came from a section of people. You are the learned person, most of you are the teachers, maybe you see a Facebook in a different way, but while we try to go for the survey, we need to have the random population, the people from every fields. We need to have the layman also, we need to have the more number of students also. Then we will have a more fairly balanced judgment that how the octalysis graph comes out. I'm open. Okay, so this is the final analysis. I'm open to the question. If there are any questions, we can take it right now. So to the participants, if there are any question regarding the octalysis, we can discuss. Otherwise, I think the time is almost over.
Yes, KV, you can also put your email ID and phone number in case there's a question afterwards also.
Okay, sir. So I'm sharing my email ID.
And WhatsApp number also.
And my WhatsApp number.
please feel free to raise any question or any query.
Okay, there is one question. How can we use it for research purpose? Particularly in my research, I can explain it from that point of view. My research is in the biofeedback, so we are using computer games to increase the mental relaxation of the person. So we need to select only those games which are highly engaging. Otherwise, people will get bored. So how to know that some game is more engaging or not? What are the lacking features? For that, we are using the Octalysis framework. So if the framework comes out to be more of a white hat technique and more on the left hand side, we consider it to be more engaging because we want the participants to relax. So that is why it should be white hat, not black hat, because in black hat, in punishment, people will get more stressed. And I personally want it to be the left hand side because in my research, I want the score and point which we can manipulate in our biofeedback process. So this is how I'm using it for my research purpose.
No, can I use this Octalysis to develop a legal framework before a game being released?
To develop a, pardon sir, what legal framework?
Yeah, because so a few kids are taking extreme steps after playing certain games, right?
Anji.
So can we avoid such games to get released by means of using this Octalysis and evolving a legal framework?
Okay. Particularly, legal aspect is not there. You can use Octalysis to analyze your creative game, which is more engaging than the another game. So you can compare it that your game has a positive impact as compared to the another game. For example, there are games which are using very black hat gamification technique to let the kids hook to the system. So you can create a similar game, and using Octalysis, you can analyze that your game is white hat while the other game is black hat. Then you can propose it to the appropriate authority that they should actually restrict the other game as compared and let the other people come to your game. So otherwise, there is no legal aspect.
No.
Can you please share more references to understand more about Octalysis framework?
If by references, you mean from where we can get about the Octalysis, know about the Octalysis, the very first point of contact is the Yukai Chow website. On his website, he has explained each and every code drive very beautifully in a very simple manner. And apart from this, the other levels of the Octalysis also. So the first point of contact should be his website. And then second is his book. And then there are many forums out there, like you can Google it. Right now, all the links are not readily available in my mind. So you can Google the Octalysis, and you can use some collaborative platform like social media platform like Reddit, or there is a Octalysis Facebook group also. Yukai Chow is one of the member of the group. So you can interact with them and the other person in the group. They regularly post some links with the shareable information about the Octalysis.
Can you please type this Yukai Chow spelling over here on the chat box, please?
Sure. I will use the Google's help also. Okay.
Yeah, somebody has actually pasted the link, I think.
That is good, Yukai Chow. That is his website. So in his website actually is also a gamified experience. The more number of article you will read, you can see you will level up in the website. So he has actually gamified his gamification teachings also.
Mm-hmm.
So Any other questions or queries?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, how can we initially analyze our application before its release, as it's new and we don't have people to take survey as they're not familiar with it yet.
Okay. When you have created an application, and you have added some gamified elements into it, the game mechanics, you need to find out what are the outcomes or what are the game dynamics that comes out of the game mechanics. For that, you will need at least a fair number of people that can test your application. So you will ask the potential candidates who are actually going to use your application, just some number of them, let us say 10 or 20 applicants. So they can test your application. You can see their results. You can ask them what they feel, how they are actually playing with the game mechanics. Then you can frame out the game dynamics, what is the player's behavior, and then you can finally ask them what is the aesthetics, how they actually feel with the overall system. Are they satisfied, frustrated, or are they getting bored? Once you have all the information with you, you can see that do you need to change some game mechanics to overall change the game dynamics or their behavior. If it is not in such a way, you are finally ready, you will feel that the people will motivated toward using your application, then you have to go for the octalysis analysis survey. Then you have to tell the people what actually your application is, let them use your application, and then they have to fill the octalysis analysis. So in this case, it should be the people who are familiar with the octalysis and the gamification. That means over here you need the help of experts. So you can take the help of the online Facebook group where people they know about the octalysis. They can help you in your survey. Of course, you have to share your application before going for the octalysis survey. You can go for other experts like Dr. Khosla is also teaching octalysis course, the gamification course, where there are a fairly number of students. You can take the help of those students to take part in the survey because they are actually learning about the octalysis. Then you can go for the Reddit. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Kulbhushan, you can also share your experience because in your research work also, so there was a need to carry the survey. Just can you share how you approached people and which groups you have approached for getting this done?
Sure, sir. In my research work, I need to do the octalysis analysis of a computer game, Super Mario game. It was a very popular game in 1980s era. So why it is engaging? I want to know. I want to do the octalysis analysis with a fairly amount of responses from the people. So first of all, the first point of contact is we approached our previous students who took part in the gamification class at NIT Jalandhar. And then second is I posted the survey link in Facebook communities. There are Facebook groups. I will share the Facebook groups links with you. And then I posted it on the Reddit. In the Reddit website, there is a huge community. There is a group called as the subreddit, Ask subreddit, or the sample survey. Sample survey is the name of the group, where there are millions of people registered on that for that group. You can post your survey, and definitely you can hope for a lot of responses from the people. The people from all over the world, they can take part in your survey. So similarly, there are many groups on the Reddit. The gamification group is also there. I posted my link on there also. So I got few responses from there also. So this is what my strategy was. First of all, using the local groups at our college, then the Facebook group, then the Reddit group. So overall, I got around more than 100 responses for my survey.
Okay, so thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So any other question from the participants? All right, all right. Kulbhushan has shared his details with you. You can, in case you have any query, so you can even post it afterwards. And I'm also available to respond to your queries. Kulbhushan, shall we call it a day? Close this session?
Of course, sir, of course. If there is no any further question, I think we can conclude.
Okay. All right, all right. Seems that there's no question. Thank you, Kulbhushan. Thanks for the wonderful session, and appreciate your time, efforts, and the way session it was conducted. So we were able to get some. I mean, participants, they were able to get have a live experience how to do the octalysis, and whenever they are going to build their own applications, any strategies, and this is really going to help them in quantifying what they have developed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to let me interact with different participants, all the experts and the teachers from all over India, and share what I learned about the octalysis. Thank you for this opportunity. And thanks to all the participants.
All right. Thank you, Kulbhushan.
Thank you, sir.
So let's close this session here. And again, will be another session we have. The last session for the day will be meeting at 3 o'clock. So enjoy your lunch. All right. Thank you.
Okay,
Take
sir.
care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.